What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to TTP Sports. And the Eagles are now 4-0 on the season. It was a very ugly game. It's pouring in South Philadelphia. The field out there just getting all muddy, just all dirty. It's slippery. It's hard to catch anything out there. Really hard to get into a real rhythm. It was a very sloppy game on both sides. But the Eagles, they do go down 14-0, but they managed to overcome that adversity. Miles Sanders had himself a great game, and the defense really bounced back. And there were a lot of injuries in this game. You got, Sayumala leaving the game, Mailata leaves the game. Also, just I'm trying to think, Darius Slay, he didn't play the entire game, basically. So you're missing a lot of guys on the offensive line and also on the defensive front. So there was some adversity in this game, especially with going down 14-0. Defense stepped up. Haason Reddick was huge. A couple of forced fumbles, getting to the quarterback, Trevor Lawrence. Fletcher Cox also getting some sacks in there. Brandon Graham. Defensive front was really aggressive on Trevor Lawrence basically the entire game after they went up 14-0. And Miles Sanders was huge in this game. Jalen Hurts, definitely his worst game out of the first four of this season. But I'm not going to, the entire team overcame the adversity of going down 14-0, and they basically overcame the weather. Were there some calls maybe that I would like back? Probably, that fourth down play in the end of the game with the 4th and 3 that A.J. Brown dropped, even though it wasn't his fault. I was just like, why not try for the field goal? But then also you got to handle that. Jake Elliott got hurt on one of the field goal attempts in the third quarter, which, turned into a roughing the kicker, which then gave the Eagles an extra first down, which, everything turned out there. But just, a lot of injuries in this game. That's basically the bottom line there. But overall, still, sloppy game for both sides. But the Eagles fought through the adversity. They fought through the deficit. They fought through the weather. They fought through the injuries. And they managed to come out of week 4 4-0. So that is something really good to look at. And they also scored in the second half. So we can rule that out here. When they needed to score in the second half, they managed to. I know that was like one of the main concerns about people over the first 3 weeks, that they haven't scored a single point in the second half. But if you look at past 3 games, they were leading by a wide margin going into the half. So this was like the only game where it was like very close. And this time the Eagles managed to, get the business done. They scored when they had to in the second half, and they managed to come out with the win. And also, there were some drop passes on Jacksonville's side. Like, it felt like the first couple of drives for them where they scored those points. You get the tip pass from Pascal, Hurts throws it into double coverage. It turns into a pick 6 there, and then they score on the very next drive they get. You're like, oh my God, is Jacksonville going to be unstoppable this game? They kind of came back down to earth, honestly. There were a lot of drop passes. There were a lot of overthrows by Trevor Lawrence. Some passes that could be easily caught if it probably weren't for the range, just balls slipping out of guys' hands. Dallas Goedert had one of those situations at the goal line where he dropped an easily catchable pass, which probably could have been a touchdown to basically seal the game away. So definitely you knew going into this game with the weather, it was going to be sloppy. It was going to be very sloppy. You were going to have to heavily rely on the run. And thankfully you did that today. Miles Sanders was really good. Like, there wasn't any major explosive plays. He was very efficient. 27 carries, 134 yards, 2 touchdowns on the day. Very efficient. Jalen Hurts also got himself a rushing touchdown. Kenneth Gainwell also got himself a rushing touchdown. So yeah, overall, very good on the running side of the ball. Like I said, from Jalen Hurts' passing side, 16 for 25, 204 yards, 1 interception, which was early in the game, which, I blame on him more than Pascal, because Jalen Hurts did throw it into double coverage and it got tipped by one of the defenders. Then also you go to the fact that why isn't A.J. Brown trying to tackle the guy who intercepted it, which probably could have prevented the pick 6 from happening. But some things do definitely need to be better. But also, just overall, good game. Good game overall. Sloppy, though. Definitely very sloppy, but a good win. You fought through some adversity, and that's basically the most important thing there that you had to deal with. Jake Elliott is hurt, though. He did manage to kick a field goal after he did get hurt, but maybe that's why they decided to go on 4th down later on in the ball game, just because, that direction, Elliott missed an extra point earlier on in the game, and that side of the field was where the wind was really blowing basically everywhere, just all across. But maybe that's why they didn't try to go for the 3 points at the end of the game and probably just try to go for the 4th down play. So maybe that's one of the reasons why Jake Elliott also being, a little banged up after getting hit on one of those plays in the third quarter. So definitely some injury concerns for this team because you got a lot of guys that are missing. Like I said, Jake Elliott. You lose Jordan Mailata early in the game. Looks like a shoulder injury. Sayamalu looks like it could be an ankle injury or something like that. With the way he fell, looked very awkward on one of his ankles. The way it looked. Darius Slay didn't play the entire game. So you had to use some backups in this game. Some of those guys did come up, but overall, you overcame a lot of adversity. I think that's the major point of this game. Overcame so much adversity. Going down 14-0, the weather, all the injuries. That's basically it. And some good, overall, some good play calling. I think that's basically the bottom line there. So if you want to look at some other stats here, on the receiving side, A.J. Brown had himself a very solid game. 5 catches for 95 yards. Dallas Goedert, 5 catches for 72. Miles Sanders had some catches. Devontae Smith had some catches. Overall, you were really heavily reliant on the run in this game, which was going to be very obvious. But defensively, really good. TJ Edwards came up with some huge plays. Haason Reddick was huge in this game, especially later on in the ball game, especially, when the Eagles turned it over on 4th down. The very next play from Jacksonville, he barges right into Trevor Lawrence's face, forces the fumble, and, basically ends the ball game there. A couple of other fumbles recovered earlier in that game as well. You had Jordan Davis stuffing the run. But also, what else? Fletcher Cox getting into some action. Brandon Graham getting into some action. James Bradbury with a huge interception in this game as well when Jacksonville was going down the field. So that, was a huge turning point in this game overall as well. That was a huge play. Honestly, I almost forgot about the James Bradbury interception just because there were so many turnovers in this game on Jacksonville's side with all the fumbles that they lost and everything. So, the interception. So, basically, yeah. Good game. Good game overall. That's bottom line there. Good game. Good game. Good game. So, before we get into the rest of this stuff, if you want to leave your thoughts and opinions with the Hotmail voice line, you can leave a voicemail or a text message 215-839-9885, or you can utilize the live feed. Basically, it's either way. You can leave your thoughts and opinions on anywhere there. Also, if when you're leaving a voicemail / a text message, leave your name so I can save that, for, future uses if, call back on a future stream or anything like that. So definitely leave your voicemail with a name or anything like that or a text message. So definitely helps me out more in the future. But also you can utilize the live feed from YouTube. So basically it's your preference. The hotline is there for anyone that wants to, get their voices heard on the stream. But yeah. So they're like I said, with the injury concerns, definitely something to look forward in, upcoming into this week. Like, Sean says right here, Mailata gets hurt trying to make a tackle on the interception that the Jaguars did. So, you got to look into a lot of these things, with the Sayamalu injury, he missed all of last year with a foot injury. So that's something you got to look into. With Darius Slay, he didn't play the entire game, basically. I think Devontae Smith was out of this game for a little bit of time before coming back later on in the game. Also, you got to look into what I said, Darius Slay again. That's based in Jake Elliott. So you got banged up in this game, and maybe injuries should have been expected with the weather, but yeah, that's definitely some huge injuries on that front because you lose a couple of offensive linemen there, a couple of backups have to go in, and also with the injuries that you were coming into with this week with Avonte Maddox and Boston Scott. So a little more injuries on that front. Hopefully nothing here is too serious to where it's season, hurting. So surprised Sermon wasn't used more. Perfect weather. Yeah, I'm honestly, he got how many touches did he get in this game overall? If I'm looking at the entire thing, if I'm looking for Sermon. Yeah, he got 2 carries, but he got 19 yards total. Was surprised that he didn't get as many touches like you said, Sean, but overall, I think Miles Sanders was a huge difference maker in this game. Also, you got to handle to the defensive side. The defensive side was very huge after going down 14-0, basically to take him away from the game and force a lot of those turnovers. Basically that defensive front, Haason Reddick, Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, TJ Edwards, the James Bradbury interception. So overall, pretty solid game. Pretty solid game overall. So looking at some other stats right here from this game. Overall, not as good on the third down efficiency in this game. I would like that to be a little bit better, 4 for 15, but I guess that's more expected with the weather out there. The weather was going to affect a lot of things in this game. And the way that you were able to, come out on top with this is huge. Like I said, Miles Sanders was just overall really good in this game. 210 yards on the rushing side. So yeah, it helped you out a lot. It helped you out a lot. And this is probably one of the bigger games for Miles Sanders in a while. So that's something that's very good to see. And, Doug Peterson getting his return to Philadelphia, coaching Jacksonville. He did get a nice round of a standing ovation coming out onto the field. But I guess that also feels nice. So that's like 3 weeks in a row where, you get Justin Jefferson, who was taunting Philadelphia. Eagles beat him and shut him down. Last week with Carson Wentz, you completely embarrassed him. And now you get a win over Doug Peterson. So I guess overall, that feels nice. That feels very nice on that standard. Yeah. I do think we have some anytime hotline voicemails right here. We got another call from Sean, but hey, let's listen to Sean right here and see what he has to say on this game. So let me unmute that, and let's see what Sean has to say here.
They have this saying in boxing that you don't know the true mettle of a fighter until they face adversity for the first time during a match. Well, we saw the Eagles overcome adversity today. I mean, to be down 14-0 in those elements and get the win, that's big time. I mean, that goes a long way. MVP today, definitely Miles Sanders. I thought Nick Sirianni's coaching decisions, going for 2 when he should have taken the point and not kicking the field goal at the end of the game. Now, maybe that had to do with Elliott's injury, but that would be the only justification in my mind to do that, because you left the door open for Jacksonville at the end. But the Eagles shut the door, and in my best Bill Belichick, on to Arizona.
Classic line there at the end there, Sean. But yeah, basically, I would assume that's basically just like, probably the simple answer there, that Sirianni tried to go for 2 at the end of the game just because, or also go for the 4th down play just because of Jake Elliott's injury. Maybe there was like, he was gimpy there, maybe also the factor was that side of the field was where all the wind was blowing, and Jake Elliott missed the extra point earlier on in the game on that side of the field. So I'm assuming both of those things came in the factor why they would go for 2 and why they would try for that 4th down play later on in the 4th quarter. So that's something I would assume right there. And also, like what you said right here, huge, like, Trevor Lawrence, some huge overthrows in this game as well to Agnew. Probably could have been an easy, long distance first down there, possibly even a touchdown. So yeah, there were some things that, Jacksonville, they were sharp early on, but they made a lot of mistakes, and the defense forced a lot of turnovers. Weather played a factor, but the Eagles defense really shut it down. They fought through the adversity. This entire team fought through the adversity. And that's why the main reason you're 4-0 coming into this week. Well, after this week, basically. And like what you said, Sean, move on to Arizona next week. 4-0. Basically, you're the only undefeated team still in the NFL. That's very nice to see. I bet people in Philadelphia are already prepping for the Super Bowl parade, which, honestly, can't be more excited watching this team. I haven't been this excited watching an Eagles team since basically the Super Bowl run. That's basically on the bottom line there. Yeah, it's basically the bottom line of that entire thing. This is really fun to watch. And like, this was a test for this team, going down 14-0. What was this team really made of? Because, the first 3 weeks they were getting off to these big leads, these big, wide margin of leads. They go down early in that first quarter, two scores. They come back, they tie it, they take the lead, and they don't let that lead falter. So good. Really good. Really, really, really good. Overall, I like it. I like it. So I see UMP talking about the Marlins beating the Brewers in the top of the 8th 2-0. So yeah, I'll definitely have a Phillies recap after everything, just because they're in the rain delay right now in the 7th. They're winning 8-1. Most likely that game is going to get called. I do have someone with inside sources that's most likely thinking that the game is going to get called, which is obvious. They're winning 8-1 in the 7th inning. The game should be called. No reason why not to. So I'll definitely have a Phillies recap later when that game is eventually, quote unquote called. And also, discussing things that happens with the Marlins and the Brewers game at the end of the day. So yeah, overall, just a really good game. Just a really good game. Yeah, Jacksonville definitely isn't a bad team. Doug Peterson, I think Doug Peterson is probably the perfect coach for Trevor Lawrence. Guy coming in here that has a Super Bowl under his, and it's probably like a 50 times better, atmosphere than having the previous coach there. Who was their previous coach? I don't know why his name is so slipping me so badly. It should be slipping me this badly because of how brutal he was. How brutal he was. Like, it shouldn't be slipping my mind. It's just like it's that bad. So what was his name? Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer. That's his name. That's his name. I don't know why his name slipped me. His name slipped me so badly that I have no idea why it did. It must be night and day going from Urban Meyer and what the hell he brought to that team to Doug Peterson, Super Bowl 52 winner. And I think that's the perfect type of coach for Trevor Lawrence. They look better in the first 4 weeks, definitely compared to last year. But yeah, I think Doug Peterson is a good coach for that young Jacksonville team. They definitely need something like that to keep their franchise going. Definitely. Trevor Lawrence must have small hands, a la Kenny Pickett. Oh yeah, didn't Kenny Pickett get into the game for the Steelers today? Sanders and Reddick both deserve a game. Oh yeah, both of those guys were the MVPs of this game. Definitely. Some costly injuries, but our depth showed in this game. Oh yeah, you fought through the adversity. You fought for the weather. You fought for the deficit. You fought through the injuries. Everything. This team really showcased who they were in this game. That's really good to see. Nick Sirianni, yeah, there were some questionable calls, but maybe there were some influence, on the weather and the Jake Elliott injury. But hey, made some right plays and everything right there. So basically, overall, it turned into a really good win. Also, gotta give some props to Shane Steichen. Dude's been good. Dude's been really good. I love what he's doing on the play calling side. I don't know. I love Shane Steichen. I've loved what he's been showcasing in these first 4 weeks with this offense overall, and the willing to adjust with the weather and utilize Miles Sanders like he has in this game. I like it. Damn it, even the Phillies are winning. Can the Flyers complete the hat trick? Oh yeah, I forgot the Flyers were playing today. That's how out of touch, even though it's preseason and all that stuff, I really haven't been paying attention to anything Flyers preseason related. Like, I listen to Tortorella. I barely watch the games preseason wise. Like, I will pay attention to regular season, but I just it's preseason. It's basically there. And I hate feeling like that, but I do. I do. So yeah, that's basically where we stand at this point. So yeah, everything's, I guess, good from here. Attila Hunt is an improvement over Urban Meyer. Honestly, I think anything is an improvement. Would Chip Kelly be an improvement over Urban Meyer? Would Chip Kelly be an improvement? Oh boy. It looks like Nick Sirianni had his son in the press conference. Well, it's preseason, but they did get blown out by Boston 4-0. Yeah, I did see that they lost 4-0. That's going to be one of the question marks for the Flyers, their offense. It's going to be one of those big question marks for the entire season. Bad for Bedard. Hopefully there, Sean. Hopefully. Yeah, what else here? What else? Don't think there's anything, major, to talk about here. I'm just looking over at the Marlins Brewers game. They just led off the bottom of the 8th inning with a single. Hopefully they can figure out a way to get out of this, because I'm assuming Pablo Lopez is done for the game. Yep. And they brought in Blyer again. Oh boy. Oh no, don't tell me they have second and third now. No, they have second and third. God damn it, Marlins. God damn it. Yep, they got second and third. Joy. Yeah, doubles. Jesus. Should have kept Pablo Lopez in the game. Should have kept him in. Why would they bring out Blyer again? Didn't he pitch yesterday? Why would they bring out Blyer again? Oh boy. But Balkan Blyer pitching. He did get the save yesterday, but they probably shouldn't have brought him out again. I don't know why they brought him out again. Did they really have no one else available in that bullpen? Oh boy. Well, I think that's where we're going to call off this stream, everyone. Eagles get a good victory that moved to 4-0. And then we'll stay tuned later when the Phillies game most likely eventually does get called, and we'll recap all of that stuff there. So definitely stay tuned for that. But for now, don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section down below. I like to read those as always. Do not forget to drop a like on the video. Do not forget to check out the Painted Lines, which I'm a part of. Links are down in the description below. Same thing with BrodesMedia. Also, hit that subscribe button. It goes a very long way. Definitely do it to join the TTP Sports family. Also, use the code TTP Sports, $20 off your first SeatGeek purchase. Great deal. Do not pass that up. Once again, everyone, thank you for joining this version of the stream. Most likely, we'll get a Phillies one later on tonight. And I'll see you then.